Welcome to the Spark Your Success Summit, where our mission is to equip and empower coaches and speakers to create a business and life they truly love while making a massive impact in the world. Your host for this session is Natalie Lavelock. Natalie is the CEO and founder of Natalie Lavelock Coaching and Consulting and the creator of the $1 Million Product System for coaches and speakers. She is also a professional speaker, trainer, best-selling author, and creator of the Spark Your Success Summit. She has another amazing guest coming right up, ready to share their expertise. Take it away, Natalie.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to the Spark Your Success Summit. We have got the slide queen herself in the house, Ms. Brigette Callahan. Welcome to the Spark Your Success Summit.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Natalie. And just so people know, you're not only my coach, but you're my mentor. And I so look up to you because of what you provide for people and what you've provided for me. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Brigette. That you totally caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Thank you so much. So Brigette is going to be sharing with us how to create compelling slides that convert. Hallelujah. I almost stole your tagline. I'm not going to do that. I caught myself, so you can deliver the thunder, not me. And I want to share just a little bit of your background. And then I'm going to have you share your story with us and jump right in, because I know you have got some incredible things to show us today. So Brigette Callahan is a slide presentation designer with 30 years of experience creating engaging speeches, presentations, and seminars. She's worked with some of the biggest names in business, including Xerox, Acura, Samsung, and PayPal. When most executive entrepreneurs go to create a speech or presentation, they don't usually know what to convey or how to say what they want to say in an engaging and compelling way. But after working with Brigette, her clients show up with PowerPoints that are easy for them to deliver. The audience gets to retain what they've been learning, what they've been taught, and they remember the speaker as the true expert that they are. Brigette is on a mission to end the tyranny of boring PowerPoints. Hallelujah. She is passionate about helping speakers create presentations that engage and inspire the audience and turn them into raving fans. Oh my goodness, this is so, the chat is already lighting up. Everybody is so excited to hear what you have to say. Brigette, tell us more about what you do, how you got started, and then I'm going to let you just run with the show. And I'm going to be quiet and listen and watch and enjoy it myself.
Okay. I was all set up, ready to go. And then all of a sudden I closed all my windows that bring up the Zoom control so I can share my screen.
Oh, no. That happens.
So,
that happens sometimes.
That. Where did my controls go?
If you want to, while you're pulling your screens and things up, just tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us how you got started and what you're doing today.
Well, I'm actually got some slides to support that. So at the beginning of my talk, if I can just pull my slides up, I do have the thing now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let me know if you see any weirdness up there, like maybe another window or something.
Nope, it's absolutely perfect. I am going to put myself on mute and let you run with it.
Okay, great. So thanks for being here. I see a lot of my friends here. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share my passion and share what I love to do. But first, say yes if you want to create your next presentation effectively. Go ahead and put a yes in the chat. And say yes if you want to have more credibility and authority on your next talk. And finally, say yes if you want higher conversions and accolades after you talk, after you present. So after working with a speaker on her slides, she hadn't spoke before, but she got to stand on a stage with 75 people and she made $6,000 from her first talk. Not a lot of money, but you know what? She got asked back. And the next time she spoke was 30 days later on a stage for 300 people. And it was only a 30-minute talk, and she had to sell a $2,000 ticket. So anyone who understands the speak to sell model, that's unheard of. And she made $72,000 from that stage in 30 minutes. So if you want to know how I helped her, stay tuned and I'll share more about that. So I believe in all slideshows should be like a Hollywood movie. And when I created that and I said that, people went, wow, I like that. But what if you could create slides that you love? Like, what if you loved your slides, and how would that react differently to how you present? I get to do what I love every day. I work with speakers and I help them with their speaking materials. This is a handout that I created for a speaker. We got to create these landing page and mobile app, so that people could go and donate on her site, because she was pitching a nonprofit organization to Richard Branson on Necker Island. And this is a little glimpse of what her slides looked like. So it's amazing. I love what I do. But you know what? It wasn't always that way. When I was in 5th grade, I really saw how much I love to do artwork. And if you're wondering which one I am, I'm on the far left. I still have the same haircut today. And I would draw in my room for hours. And I loved art class in school. In fact, I remember they had this art competition. And I came home and I knew my mom would be excited because I won 2nd place. And I shared with her. And then I heard my stepfather in the background said, "You'll never make money as an artist." I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I was devastated and I was pissed off. And I made it a mission that I am going to get good grades in school. And so I got a degree in art. And my first job out of college was working as helping an art director. And my second job out of college was working for an event company in San Diego. And that's where I learned the skills of slide design. And this was way back before computers, when we did artwork on drawing boards. And I got to work in live events. This is a nonprofit event I did up in Hollywood. And Paul Mitchell was the client. And I get to, travel all over and work these live events and work with these speakers. But I always didn't have the opportunity to help them with their slides, because I was like hired last minute. And it drove me crazy seeing the stuff that was put on these screens. I've won awards for graphic design, logos, websites, packaging, and also for slides. And this gives you a sample of some of the clients I worked with: Fortune 500, pharmaceutical, medical, banks, etc. But, I want to talk about you. And I want to see how we can transform your slides to be compelling and engaging. And what if we could convey 1,000 words more per minute per slide than what you can say alone? How much impact would that have on your audience and their brain? But I want to talk a little bit about what limbic messaging is, and the brain and how it retains that information from the visual sense. So for the audience to have a great experience, I'm actually here today to be an advocate for your audience. And I want to make sure that what you're saying really connects with them, and that they look up to you like, wow, I'm really glad I came. The slides they're showing, what they're saying makes so much sense to me. Where do I sign up, or how do I get a hold of you? I share, I think my slides are a little out of order here, but my life's mission is to make a difference for 1 million audience members by working with 1,000 speakers. And I want to put death by PowerPoint to bed, like it no longer exists. So hopefully by the end of this talk, you will never look at slideshows the same way again. So in other words, I want to put slide shame in as a thing of the past. Okay, so here's my limbic messaging slides. I had them in 2 different places. So most people make the mistake of putting all their notes on a slide, right? And then the audience still can't read and listen at the same time. So the problem is you're putting your cheat notes up there, but they're not getting the benefit of the true experience and the training and the knowledge that you're delivering. So how do we help with the limbic brain? That's the emotional brain. That's the one that that says, oh my God, wow, I need this now. Okay. And so the limbic brain is not the thinking brain. You don't want them to say, oh, that's nice, let me think about it. No. You want them to go, oh, I want that. Where do I sign up? So that's what I'm talking about, limbic messaging. What I like to show is the visual limbic messaging. And we're talking about creativity. So let me see here. All right. So working backstage for a cardiology conference, right? This I did this conference for 12 years. And it was about 50 doctors speaking to about 800 audience members, usually doctors, nurses, who are getting their CEUs. And they're showing live feeds of surgery, and they're showing a ton of slides showing, trials they did and all the statistics and stuff. And they were super boring, super hard to read. But there was one doctor that really made the day, and everybody filled the room when he spoke. And he had a great deck, because when I pulled it up on the screen backstage, I would look at it and go, I have no idea what he's talking about, but it's going to be exciting. So he came up, and this is the cover. And so he pulled up this slide of the map of the US. And then he said, this is where all the McDonald's is on the US. And then he goes, and this is where all the heart disease is in the US. Now ask yourself, what did your brain just do? Did it kind of map them together? Now, he didn't show this third slide. I'm just showing it as an example. But that's that brain idea of showing statistics in a visual level that has them capture 10 times more of that information and remember it. Like, this talk was given 12 years ago, and I still remember what he was talking about. Here's another limbic message. Would you like to have a gift? I mean, look at the hands and look at the nice gold ribbon and the packaging. It's really engaging. And so whatever I say to this, you're probably going to remember it. Talk about the hands or whatever. But really what I'm about is I want to abolish the boring slide. And I hope I have your partnership in that. So shortly, I'm just going to touch on these 3 things real quick. We just want to keep it simple. We want to avoid those pesky bullets. I know I have bullets here. And we want to tell your story. So how do we keep it simple? Well, I tell people no white backgrounds, or minimize the white backgrounds. So this is the first white background I've showed you since I started my talk. And does it feel like you got pulled over by the cops at night and he shined a flashlight in your eye? That's pretty much the effect on our eyes, because our eyes go to the light. And so if we're going to the light and the light's the background, then we're fighting to figure out, well, what are the dark things? Oh, they're letters. Oh, and the letters make words. And we have to diagnose and read each letter to make a word, and then make a sentence, and then make a paragraph. Can you imagine the brain power that gets used up in 10 minutes? What happens, we call this the eye chart, by the way, in the industry. But what happens is you go brain dead. And once they're brain dead, guess what? They not only can see your slides, they can't listen. So here's an example of a slide I pulled off the internet. I love it too, because they grabbed a graphic and they just slapped it on the slide. They didn't even center it. But notice how this is a very typical slide. We see them, right? So how do I redesign it? Well, take the graphic, make it full frame up to the edge so there's no white leaks, and put the text on a dark background. And I match the yellow of the graphic, and notice how more harmonious it is. Now, yeah, I'm a graphic designer. I've got training in it and I teach it as well, but I'm showing you these skills that you could use right now. Here's another client of mine. I was actually in his mastermind and I was criticizing his slides. So he hired me to do the slides for him, but this was his hot seat slide. I was like, that's not a hot seat slide. This is a hot seat slide. Now, why is this slide so different? Well, I mean, I didn't even have to explain it to him. When he saw it, he's like, oh my God, that's my favorite slide in this whole world. But when you look at it, it's like got a whole story behind it. It's like this beautiful, comfortable chair, leather, the kind you see at hotel entryways. And yeah, I want to sit in that hot seat. But then you look at the background and the desert and the impending storm, and it's like, it's scary, kind of what a hot seat is. So here's another client of mine, Danella Burnett. She gets speakers to get on stages. And this was her title slide. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're speaking on a stage to 5,000 people for Grant Cardone, and you're going to use that slide? No. Let me help you with that. And so I redesigned her slide, and then I redesigned her whole deck. And we've been working together ever since. And, it's funny when I work with people like this and they use their slides over and over again, they become evangelists. It's like they can't get enough, and they tell friends and their friends tell friends. And I think, though, you can tell someone, but you really can't know what happens until you actually see these slides. So I tell people, under no circumstances, don't use bullets, because bullets kill. So this next slide is a bulleted slide, and we've seen it over and over again. And this is an offer slide. So you're going to want me to spend all this money, and you're outlining what you're showing me, but I can't even really tally up the numbers because they're not aligning. Plus, that lettering on the top is really hard to read. I can go on for hours. but this is what I redesigned for her. So it's basically listing out one by one the offer and then putting the price on the right and tying a visual limbic message to each of the sub offers. And it's just neat. And our brain likes order. Okay. And so when you put things in order, it's a lot easier for us to comprehend what you're saying. Here's another slide. Again, it doesn't look too orderly, just kind of slapped together. I've got those bullets again. And we're used to this. But what if it looked like this? And she didn't have to list the bullets. She just read the bullets. And what I love about this image is we look at faces. When we see humans, we look at faces and we look at their eyes. Are they looking at us? No? Okay, what are they looking at? So we start from the left and we move to the right. We go from one set of eyes to the next. And she's talking about if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't eat right, you're going to age quicker. So as she's talking about all that and probably talking to this slide for several minutes, you're looking at that and formulating a story behind it. I kind of think of it as like when we were little kids and our parents read books to us. And, we're going to bed, we're trying to stay up, but they're reading to us. And so like, show me the picture. So I want to see the dragon. And that's kind of what slides do for us. They bring us into that world that's just colorful and imaginative and just really helps our memory. This was a bulleted slide and it came from the former CFO of Microsoft. And I said, how can we do this differently? So I created Post-it notes, and how I used them is we get a limbic message picture of the story he's talking about, and then put the Post-it notes on it to relate to that bullet. So we don't have to list as bullets. We can get creative and do something a little different. And then here's another one where it animates out and then the bullet slides there. It was so funny because when I gave him his deck, he was really excited about it, but he scratched his head and he goes, how do I present this? And I was like, oh yeah, he's from Microsoft. He's looking for the bullets. And, we're into the storytelling now. We have to tell stories and it's strings of stories. So how do you tell your story and how does it map onto these visual limbic message images that you can use that really helps your audience? Here's another bulleted slide. And here's my solution. And this solution is completely 100% done in PowerPoint. There is no kind of weird animation or something like that. But you could see she's talking about, are you going to stay in faith? Or are you going to be in fear or are you going to hang out halfway? And as she's talking about it, whoever, it could be about anything, but just the animation and how it looked is just so much more engaging than that other one. Now, my friend that I talked about that made $72,000 in a 30-minute talk, she helped people write their book. And what I loved about working with her is, finding these images of book spines that are all kind of tattered. And like, you look at this one, she's talking about why would you write a book? It's a credibility thing. It helps people, know you better. And I look at this and I go, wow, if I wrote a book, I want my book to look like that because then they'll read it, like it looks used. So there's that unsaid limbic message that ties them in and brings them in. And then discover your heart message. What does that mean? Well, why do you want to write a book? You're discovering that message that you want to impart to everyone. And so walking through that, we look at this image and she's talking and we see this heart drawn by, some sort of flashlight or something. We see the bonfire and I'm thinking, wow, this reminds me of when we lived on the beach when we were kids and the sunsets and we went grunion hunting and the bonfires. It was so much fun. And so I go into that memory that's in me forever. And I'm tying it to how she's telling me about how to write your book, and discover your heart message. And so now it's in me. That whole message is in me. Here's another one, a found image. So embrace the words of your book. And then I love this one. This is what she said exactly. And we found the image to match it. Very rare, but it was awesome. And notice how we have a heart in all of these images. We kept that heart in there because it's discover your heart message. So again, subtle, but very high quality, very curated. And then back to the Microsoft guy, he was talking about how his department had a low satisfaction rate. And so when he was talking about like, well, what happened? He's sitting there in the middle of a ocean with not even a boat. And so then I ghosted it back and I said, what went wrong? So he's just telling a story and the images support the story. Now we've seen these before, someone has to show the whole document, but you can't read it. So how do you just emphasize one part of the document? Well, you just zoom in on that one, ghost back the others, and notice how, as I'm talking, I'm not even talking about teeth extraction, but you get the idea of how the animation works. And then this is a series of slides I did for my friend Daniela Burnett, and she was talking about how do you leverage your time? If you spend an hour with a potential client, and if that by chance that client buys your products, okay, you made $8,000. But what if you could speak to many people in an hour? And of those people, what if 5 of them buy? And so what you have is you have 1 hour, 5 clients, you made $40,000 in an hour. So you want to ask, what is a sales call worth to you? So you probably don't know how many slides built that, but it didn't matter. I was telling a story and it just kind of folded in from one to the next. Here is a foundation graphic. We call them foundation graphics. Is usually your title slide. And very limbic messaged. It's actually a couple of curated pictures that are molded together with Photoshop, and then the title goes on it. And that title is completely editable. So if she was traveling and she wanted to change her title or something, she could do that. But that image just really draws people in. And it's when you're at an event and there's like 5 speakers at the same time and you're walking into your room, you want to make sure, am I in the right room? And that's what the slide is that you hold up. Here's another one, turn behavior problems into no problem. This was just text. Can you imagine just text and talking about this? But look at that image. I mean, that whole image is the whole story right there. I look at that image like, well, I don't have any kids, but my sister has kids. And I remember her when she was like this. And it's like, oh my God, she just won't stop talking. Oh, I don't know what to do now. And so you get that limbic message of what they're saying and how it relates to you. Okay. So the next thing is you want to create the outcome. So when you're starting your talk, before you even start making slides, create your outcome. Like, what do you want to happen? So this is my client who does really well. And we were getting ready to speak and it was 6:30 in the morning. He was just checking out the stage and getting mic'd up and all that kind of stuff. And then here's him actually speaking, and he turned around and took a picture of everyone. He talks about social media. And then here he is on stage, and look at the audience, create the outcome. One outcome is, you want people to engage. These people are raising their hand. Another outcome is, wow, what if there's a line at the end of the stage when I finished and they had all these questions? Really good outcome is, what if they rush to the back of the room and buy my product? Those are in the days before COVID, but it still happens virtually. So that's what I'm talking about. Create the outcome of what you want. And then when you create that outcome, even like weeks later, like after they saw your talk, what are they doing? How are they reacting? Are they reaching out to you, or are they doing something new in their life? And then the last thing I want to share is, I don't know if this, I think, I guess I call it Post-it notes for storyboards. So I learned this when I did Lisa Sasovich's program. And it's like when you're building your program, just write little ideas of what you're doing on Post-it notes, like your 5-step idea. And so I just kind of outlined my talk here. I talk about the Hollywood effect. I talk about your authority piece, your book, and then just write down, a little drawing of what you think will relate to that. Now, if you don't sketch, you could just say, I need a picture of someone on the beach. And once you have that outline, then you go start searching for your images. And what I love about Post-it notes is you can always rearrange them if you want to change the order of your talk. So I did that through slides. Here's an example of a slide sorter view for a client I did. He called it the 10 Commandments of Marketing. And again, there's a few slides that have white, but for the most part, they're very rich and there's not a lot of text on them. So if he wasn't speaking to these, you would have no idea what he was teaching. He needs you. We need him to speak, right? And so that's what makes it compelling and engaging when they're waiting to hear, well, what does this mean? Oh, now I get it. So here, know your customer. He's talking for 10 minutes on know your customer. If you want to do well in business, you got to know your customer. And if you look at this image, first we see his face, his eyes are looking at her. We see that she's looking down on her hands. They have hands together, so we see both hands interacting. And then we look at all the products on the shelf and how neatly they're arranged. And it's just a rich image. I love this image. And then he talked about offer the customer something they value. Well, clearly she values shopping, don't you think? I love it. And, her lipstick is colored to match the packaging and she's got this bright, shiny face. I love it. And then here's my favorite bulleted slide. This actually came as a bulleted slide, but I put the title at the bottom and I highlighted it so you could say it. And then I said, you must entertain, you must engage, you must inform, and you must have a call to action. Now, I had those clicks to, clicking on my keyboard. So I can bring them up as soon as I say them, or I bring it up a little before I say them, because our brain wants to read it before you say it or see it before you say it. So I tell, advanced speakers when I'm working with them, always click before you're ready to go, because they're going to be okay seeing the next slide when you're still talking about the previous slide. So that's the expert tip that is not announced anywhere here. And then finally, speak the language of her customer. Look at her face. She's got such bright teeth. And I took the letters and matched, the color of her hair. And it's just a simple visual. Even though it's on white, it works. Okay. So here's my friend, Helen Chang, and she's the one who helps people write their book. And I just loved working with her, even though she knew about me for a year and never reached out until she saw Jonathan on her stage, wipe out the whole crowd, just went back and bought his products. She goes, I want slides like Jonathan. And I said, I can help you, but you need to practice. I saw her on stage. She didn't have the wherewithal to really engage the stage. So it's not just slides alone. You really need to bring it as well. And so I made her practice every day. I said, if it's only 30 minutes, can you just send me a Zoom link, a Zoom recording every day? Just practice your talk every day. You have it written out. You may not have slides yet, just recite it. And then when I started giving her the slides, she would practice with the slides. And after 30 days, can you think she was well practiced? She was ready. And so she completely showed up differently on the stage because of that. And she had no slide shame. She was excited to be in front of them and to share her offer and to help these people, help them get more authority. So, what would it be like to have that kind of transformation on your next talk? So you want to think, is there something different I can do to make my talk better? So I know I've gone kind of quick, and I'm leaving time so I can talk with Natalie, but I hope you learned some valuable stuff today. And I think presentations look a little different to you. And I hope that you could see where you can improve on your own presentations. And so I want you to imagine if you're sitting in front of your computer and you're working on your slides, and all of a sudden you have this solution to make it so much easier. And that designing impactful slides so that they can captivate and convert will help you sell your products and services and your ideas. So I have a really special gift I want to provide for you. And it's my masterclass, and it's new. It's called Slides That Sell, Create Your Custom Template, Plug and Play. So what that means is we sit together, we work live, and we're working on your slide template to make sure it has the scaffolding, the layouts that you're going to use to create your talk. And I'm talking about, full framed images and how to find those images and all that fun stuff. And what you're going to learn is what you're going to realize is you're going to shorten your slide creation time by 90%. And your slides are going to look well laid out and branded and consistent, and you're going to be shining. All right. And then finally, you're going to look forward and to having fun creating your slides. So are you dropping it in the chat? Thanks. So what you want to do is you want to go to the link and scroll down, and you'll see where you fill it out. But make sure that you zoom in to where it says have a coupon. And that's where you want to put your coupon. Did I give you Spark 22? Yeah. Now it's a limiter. It's for those action takers. So you'll have till midnight tomorrow night to take advantage of this $100 off. Okay. And so it'll be $197. And so I hope I see you there. And if you can't make the July class, you can take the next class, but you need to sign up by tomorrow night if you want to get that discount. And I think that's my slideshow, unless we don't have anything to talk about and I could show you eye candy. What do you think, Natalie?
I love it. Well, let's ask the audience. Do you have questions that you want to ask Brigette, or do you want to see more eye candy? If you have questions, put questions in the chat. If you want eye candy, put eye candy in the chat.
While you're waiting, I'll just send eye candy to the screen. How's that? Oh, look, they want
Eye
eye candy.
candy. Everybody wants eye candy.
So this was a set of slides I created for a lawyer who was talking to an audience that are not lawyers. And he's talking about how most lawyers are sharks, right? So he's using the shark metaphor. And it's like, and he's talking about, it's all perspective. I love this.
Oh,
And then this next slide is really cool because it really shows the benefits and the knowledge that you can serve up information in a new way that almost looks like a Hollywood movie. And this was all done completely in PowerPoint. The animation we're using is called Morph. And all the newer, anyone who has the newer versions of PowerPoint has it. Keynote also has a version of Morph. I don't think they call it Morph, but it's something else. But, I started designing slides early in my career, and doing animations on a drawing board, you really have to think through the animation and how does that work? So this is actually the outline of the slides that you just saw. It's not many slides, right? But there was so much motion and the way it served up the content. It was pretty cool.
wow.
So that is that eye candy. What else can I show
So
you here?
Bridget, before you go on, one of the questions in the chat that's been asked is, how long should in your expertise, in your opinion, how long of a talk should you have before you start using a PowerPoint presentation? Like if you're talking for 5 minutes, do you use a PowerPoint? 30 minutes, do you use a PowerPoint? Or is it really just based on the content that you need to share? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great question. Has anyone ever attended, I think it's an animation contest, where it would tour the US, the winners of all these animation contests, and they're cartoons that last like 3 minutes, but they're cartoons, right? So it's visual, and there's lots of things going on. So for me, I gave a talk on another stage and we only had 3 minutes, and I completely used my slides and I just kind of went through it really quick. Because can anyone guess how many slides I showed today in 30 minutes? Go ahead and put it in the chat if you can guess how many slides I showed. A lot.
I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to say 75.
All right, Robin, you're pretty close. I think you're the winner.
Yay, Robin.
But it doesn't matter. In fact, I had a client of mine, they said, I had 80 slides and they said I'd never get through my deck. Because she had like 30 minutes to talk. Says, well, never, ever tell them how many slides you have, because you know how long it takes to do your slides. You know how long it takes to walk through it. You already are well versed in delivering slides. So don't tell them. They don't need to know, because people don't understand that aspect of how do you deliver it. So you can speak without slides. I've been on podcasts to talk about these distinctions, and we have a great time. I'm not showing slides. We're just talking about it. But when you can audibly describe, oh my God, we've all seen that boring slideshow. What do we do? And imagine, these beautiful slides, huge on the screen, So I don't need slides, but obviously you probably would still look at slides the same way after I talked if you didn't see my slides. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Put in the chat if you agree.
Yeah.
It really is an individual basis, whether, and it's not, it could help you. It could be your cheat notes, because here's how it works. I had a client that I was working with for a 3-day event. And the first night at 9:00, she calls me and says, can you come down to my room? I want to make changes to my slides. I said, only if you have chocolate. So I have chocolate. So I went over there. We spent about 10 minutes changing her offer, because she was delivering her offer the next day. And then I said, can I say something about how you delivered your talk today? She says, yeah. He says, you have your downstage monitor, you have your clicker in your hand. And when you go, you're ready to go to the next slide, you stop talking. You'd look down, you'd click, and then you'd see the next slide. And then it's like a 2-second wait. And then you start talking again. My suggestion is 2 seconds before you're ready to click, but 2 seconds, you may still talk about the previous slide when you go to the next slide, but click ahead of time. And we tell them like 2 to 5 seconds, you can go ahead of time. She's like, isn't that cheating? I was like, what do you mean? Well, if I go ahead, then I'll know what to say next. I say, great, then cheat away. I know, it's pretty funny. So that's another secret tip, is really practice how you deliver these slides. I've timed these slides and I've delivered this enough to where it's a cadence. It's like a dance for me. So
Mhm.
if you're struggling making slides, don't do slides, just talk. But if you think there's going to be a couple of slides that will really help the audience connect to your material, then use them. And what if you're talking for 30 minutes, you only have 3 slides? That's fine. Just what do you want to do to help your audience? This is speaker support to support the audience, not to support the speaker.
Exactly. So, Bridget, one of the other questions that somebody asked that I think is really relevant to the offer that you made is they want to know, is there any type of a prerequisite involved? Is there anything they have to do or something that needs to be prepared before coming to your workshop?
Well, yeah, they have to sign up and then they'll get the email. Just take them by the hand, walk them through. They're going to get an email. We're going to give them a download of a template to start with. So we're going to kind of get them started, and probably a handout and stuff like that we'll give them. Okay. They're going to get the full recording at the end. Okay. And we're going to actually, this is not advertised, I don't think, but we're actually going to jump on a call a week later and just check in with everyone. How's it going with your slides? What questions do you have? So you don't have to do anything, but I would recommend really forecasting that future of what do I want out of my talk? What do I want my audience to get? If you can figure that out, like I want them to buy my product, or I want them to buy my book, or I want them to whatever. What do you want them to do? What are they going to learn from this that's going to make their life better? And really outline that. And then get your branding stuff together. If you have it, if you have colors, if you have a logo, bring that with you, and bring an open mind. And I'll probably give you way more information than you can take. And I'm going to try and not do that, but I seem to do it all the time.
Excellent. All right. So any last questions for Bridget? We have just a couple of questions. Bridget, while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions in the chat, I want to know, what has been one of your favorite projects to work on?
Well, I loved working on that slide deck for my friend who got to pitch to Richard Branson, because that put a fire under my butt. And just imagining the 20 people that'll be sitting on this island listening to her talk, and what power they have, to, pull money together to donate, or, to give her some, people to meet, like joint venture kind of stuff. And it really drove me and my team. That was fun. Working with the VP of PayPal was very interesting. And of course, the former CFO of Microsoft, he had a very compelling story. And when his script was perfect, it's like, and he didn't have to look at it. He just knew it. And so for me to put his slides together was it was so simple. And yet it was so foreign to him. He had to learn, okay, you have a great story. Now you're showing the visual story to tell the story. And so it does take a little practice, but I'll tell you, it's so much fun. It makes presenting so much better when you're proud of your slides, when you know it's going to connect to them. And they're just like, wow.
Yes, I can tell you that is like one of the best moments as a speaker, is when you're standing there and you're looking at the audience and you can tell they're mesmerized. You can see the light bulbs going off in their heads. You can see the changes taking place, right? That is so rewarding. And you're like, oh, whether they buy from me at the end of this or not, I know I've impacted a life.
Yes. And that's what makes our life fruitful, right? That's why we do what we do.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, let me just say we're going to wrap up with Brigette here. Brigette, I'm going to come back to you in just a minute and see if you have any last words of inspiration for us. But I want to tell you who is coming up next. We have Consuela Munoz coming up next, and she's going to be talking to us about how to defeat shiny object syndrome. If you were on my talk earlier, we also talked about shiny object syndrome, but not the way she did. We were talking about shiny object syndrome is an SOS. It's a cry for help because we are grasping at straws trying to make things work. And so Consuela is going to be sharing with us how to identify those shiny objects, what ways we can, use them to our advantage, how to avoid the trappings and the pitfalls of those shiny objects. So be sure and be back here at the top of the hour to learn from Consuela. It's going to be a great presentation. And Brigette, I just want to come back to you one more time and give you the opportunity to share some last words with us.
Well, I've been doing graphics all my life, and I love the creativity. I love the collaboration. And in the last year, I've been working on my own limbic messaging. And the final words that I want to say to everyone is success. Your success is by design. It just doesn't happen. You have to think it and then create it. And having someone to collaborate with, just kind of makes it that much richer.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so powerful. Thank you so much, Brigette. I think you've truly inspired us and shown us what it really looks like to be a professional speaker, to be a professional presenter. And I just really appreciate your expertise and your time today. So thank you so much. Team, would you wrap this up and close us out? And we will see you back here at the top of the hour.
Yay. Thank you for joining us for another amazing session of the Spark Your Success Summit, where our mission is to equip and empower coaches and speakers to create a business and life they truly love while making a massive impact in the world. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle full of courses and resources from our knowledgeable speakers, upgrade to VIP now. And when you upgrade to VIP, Natalie will donate 10% of every sale to the White Feather Prayer Chapel and Hope Sisters Project. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, email our support team at admin@natalielavelock.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.